Hey everyone, John Lang here. Welcome to the John Lang Music Channel. If you like what you hear and see, I hope you'll think about subscribing to my channel, maybe give the video a like, maybe listen to some of my original music. I'd really appreciate it. Anyway, today we decided to not be quite so serious as we have in some of the other commentary videos, and I'm going to talk about the things that I think are the 10 most overused live rock and roll cliches. I've seen enough bands over the years. I'm a classic rock kind of guy, clear back from the 70s, and you name the band big from the 70s, I've probably seen them live, some of them several times. So I think I've got a pretty good idea of what these bands do on a daily basis. I have noticed a few patterns over the years, and I think some of these patterns continue to this day with some of these bands, plus some of the newer bands are doing the same things that they do. And I kind of feel like maybe it's just time to call out some of these and see if maybe we can give some of these a rest and move on to something new. So anyway, these are my pick for the top 10. If you have other suggestions, I'd love to hear them in the comments. Anyway, number 10, guitar pick throwing. And I think probably the worst offender that I've ever seen for this is Rick Nielsen with Cheap Trick. And I understand everybody loves to get a souvenir. It's nice to get a guitar pick thrown at you and catch it. You feel pretty special and you stick it away and cherish it. But there are some people, in particular Rick Nielsen is my worst offender. Once again, he spends the entire night throwing out picks to the point to where half the time he's not even playing the guitar. He's so busy doing this, pulling things out the mic stand. He has his entire mic stand covered with guitar picks. And, time to time he'll go backstage and grab a whole handful of them. And, I think you should worry a little bit more about the music and maybe a little bit less about throwing out guitar picks, in my opinion. We've all been there, seen that a few million times, so it's time to let it go. Number 9. I call this the blinding light show, and I've just seen so many bands do it, and it always kind of irritates me. You go see a band and they always put this bank of lights back behind the stage, bright white lights. There'll be like a whole bank of them, and at some point they flash them in the audience's eyes so bright that you can't see anything. It's just like staring into the sun. They may continue this for a whole song, maybe several songs. It's just kind of annoying to me because you can't see anything. Should I bring my sunglasses for this? I don't know. It's just too much. It's not enjoyable. Maybe the band likes it because maybe they get to see the crowd then, so good for them, I guess. But, I'm paying a lot of money for this concert. I'd like to actually see the band. Call me crazy, but number 8. I call this the Who's Louder audience competition. And it typically starts out with the singer, and he'll divide the crowd into different sections. Usually, there'll be a row, and there'll be a section on one side, a section on the other, maybe the balcony, 3 or 4 different sections, and hey, we're all gonna see who can scream the loudest, or maybe we'll do a variation, we'll do guys, we'll do girls. And it's just not that big of a thrill for me listening to a bunch of people go, "Ah!" I just don't get it. I'm sorry, but a lot of people seem to obviously enjoy it, so have at it, I guess, but I'm just gonna sit there and kind of wait till it's over. That's just me. Number 7. The medley. How many times have you heard bands that maybe they have a bunch of songs that you're dying to hear, and they obviously don't really feel like playing the whole song, so they throw them all together in a medley. Maybe they're 4 or 5 best songs, and instead of hearing the whole song, you get to hear 30 seconds of each one. Why? Probably because the band is sick of playing them, and they figure, well, we'll just give them enough to where they can't say that they didn't hear it, and then we'll move on to something that we do like playing. But really the bottom line is they should play what the audience wants to hear, and if that's what brung you, dance with it. If that's what made your money for you, I think you owe the audience to play the entire song. That's just my opinion, but anyway. Number 6, call and response singing. And this kind of, I think, started out with Freddie Mercury from Queen, like back at Live Aid. I think he did it. He would, in between the song, he'd go out there with his microphone and go, "Day-do." The crowd would go, "Day-do." And they go back and forth, and he'd start singing things a little bit more complicated and see if the crowd could keep up with him. and it just doesn't really excite me too much. Maybe some people really enjoy that type of thing, and if so, more power to them. But I'm just kind of sitting there looking at my watch, waiting for this thing to be over and waiting for them to play a decent song, you know. And I didn't really pay that kind of money for a ticket to listen to the guy next to me singing Date Oh, I'm sorry. That's just me. Number 5, the acoustic set. How many times have you heard a band somewhere, usually about halfway through the night, we're going to take it down, we're all going to pull up stools, we're going to grab acoustic guitars, we're going to play a song that you're used to hearing with electric guitars, but we're going to play it with acoustic, and it's not going to sound anything like it did originally. It's not going to have the same energy. Do we really want to hear Kiss sing I Want to Rock and Roll All Night on acoustic guitars? I don't. Maybe you do. But to me, it just, some bands can pull it off. Most of them, especially harder rock bands, it just loses it for me. It just doesn't give the song what it originally had with the distorted electric guitars. And hey, it's cool that your drummer can play acoustic too, your singer can play acoustic. You know, I'm impressed, but, you know, let's get back to the electrics, all right, people? Number 4, the sing-along. This is where the band will be playing a chorus, typically, and the singer will be singing, and the band will slowly come down in the background to where the band isn't playing anymore, maybe just a little hi-hat on the drums, and then the singer will start backing away from the microphone. He'll take his mic and turn it out to the crowd, and the crowd will start singing the song. And once again, I'm paying $150 to listen to Joe Schmo next to me sing Riding the Storm Out by REO Speedwagon when I paid money to have Kevin Cronin sing it, you know? I just don't get it. And typically what happens is that it fizzles out after a couple choruses. The crowd can only kind of keep it up for so long. They start getting out of time with each other, and, you know, it just falls apart. Occasionally I'll see a band really keep it going for quite a while, and I guess that's kind of impressive when that happens, but most of the time I'm just once again counting the minutes and the seconds till it's over. So, number 3, the long ending. You know what I'm talking about. You know, we've listened to a 4-minute song, and all of a sudden we're at the end of the song and the drummer's doing this for a minute and a half. You know, the guitar player's hitting the same chord over and over and over. Maybe he'll play a little lead, dwiddly-dee, you know, here we go, and it just goes on and on and on, and just about the time you think it's over, they switch to another chord, and they're doing it for another 2 or 3 minutes, and it's like, next thing you know, you've wasted an entire song's worth of time listening to these guys just kind of dink around on their instrument, and I don't like it, I don't get it, I never have, maybe it's just me. Number 2. Once upon a time, there was a thing that was a reward to a band that everybody really loved. They would go backstage and people would clap so loud they couldn't go back to their hotel room yet. People would just demand that they came back out and played another song. And back then, it would sometimes come as such a surprise to them. They wouldn't even have a song prepared. They would maybe have to repeat a song, or, you know. And it just got out of hand at some point. Everybody just expected it. Next thing you know, bands are saving their 3 or 4 best songs for the encore that they know that they're going to get because it's just expected. It's not special anymore. And I just don't get it. You know, if you're going to play the songs anyway, why do we have to go through this whole routine of turning the lights down and putting the lighter up and, you know, clapping till your hands are sore? Just play the songs and let's go home, okay? Number 1. And this one, there was actually no doubt for me this was number 1 for me because it's my number 1 pet peeve when I go to hear a band. It's the drum solo. Okay, I get you're a good drummer, that's great. I get you can go around in circles, go do 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 do, you know, like In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida, and you can keep that going for 10 minutes. I think that's really great, but I don't really want to hear it, unfortunately. And I like to hear songs, I like to hear lyrics, melody, singing, maybe a guitar solo for 30 seconds, maybe even a 30-second or a minute drum solo, but 10 or 15 minutes, you know, and I think what happens is bands plan this into their set so they can go backstage and they can have a beer, they can take a leak, you know, maybe call their girlfriend, I don't know what they do, maybe watch an episode of Seinfeld. It's hard to say, but it's just time to let that one go. It's just way overdue, and it's just gotten to where every drummer, no matter how good they are or aren't, has to do a drum solo, and it really takes a lot to impress me on drums, unfortunately, and you know, I hope that doesn't offend anybody, but it's just all been done so many times. It's just time to give it a rest. Anyway, so that's my top 10. I'd love to hear your comments. If you agree, disagree, just let me know.